How's everyone doing this afternoon on day one of reInvent? I hope that energy continues until you get on the planes, headed home, exhausted, enthused, practiced, learn and be curious throughout the entire week, going with all sorts of new ideas, experiences, as well as learning and new relationships between one another. You know, one of the amazing parts of reInvent when we got started many, many years ago was to have it be a learning focus. It was to provide the opportunity for the interaction of best practices, to hear from inspiring customers and partners around the globe, as well as to build new relationships, especially as this world gets a little smaller, as well as the amazing technology that brings us all together. And that's one of the wonderful parts about public sector and the mission-driven. It's one of the reasons why I've spent a very big part of my career focused on bringing to life the number of solutions that governments, educations, nonprofits, aerospace and satellites and others need to bring good news in a world that at times needs good news. My name is Jeff Kratz, and I get the privilege, and it really is a privilege, to look after our worldwide partner community. And every day I get the opportunity to meet with customers and our partners, internal teams that are doing amazing innovations to bring forth a week full of reInvent activities that we have. And it's pretty amazing when we start thinking about how we can harness the power of the AWS cloud to discover new potentials, new possibilities that are out there, to take advantage of this incredible learning. Now, I got to see a couple of folks yesterday when we were opening up reInvent, getting the booths all set up, made a giant sports lounge. I don't know if anyone saw that. I wish I could have 6 TV screens like they had up on the wall of the football games at home. Got to work on that one a little bit. But as we are getting going and talking with many of you about what are the opportunities this week, sessions like this where we're going to dive deeper into not only what we're hearing from 2 amazing customers in their journey, but also the different partner areas that we are continuing to invest as builders on behalf of a broader business. There are different sessions as well that are occurring. These are 2 great sessions. One, Dave Levy, who is our new Vice President of Worldwide Public Sector, following right after this session, Empowering Citizens Through Digital Innovation. And then specifically for the partner community here in the audience, on Wednesday is Ruba Borneo's AWS Partner Keynote. I get to join her on stage to have a fireside chat with one of our partners, as well as customers, the US Air Force, and how they're leveraging technology. An amazing, fun fireside chat and other breakthroughs. But that is right after this session, and Wednesday tonight, we have a keynote. Peter DeSantis is giving a wonderful keynote on infrastructure investments. We have Adam Selipsky tomorrow, and of course, Werner on Thursday, with lots of other breakout sessions along the way. And part of this that we want to share this week, in all the keynotes, these breakout sessions, et cetera, is where we see public sector going. Again, we think about public sector under the government, education, nonprofit, regulated health, and of course, aerospace and satellite. You can't launch a rocket without governments carrying around the world. And we see our customers continuing to lean in. Post-COVID, there wasn't a stop. During COVID, governments need to respond to the various needs of citizens. They didn't have 3 years, 4 years to develop solutions or portfolios. They had a matter of days to help let the citizens, all of us in whatever respective country, know where they could go for clinics, what were the rules of the roads. Education institutions had to change the way that teaching was occurring to be able to hold classrooms. I think about the city of Sao Paulo, which changed in a matter of days to train over 8,000 students at home, quickly and easily through a partner leveraging AWS. Now, this momentum does not stop, and we see governments continuing to lean in to tackle global challenges. Governments can act like startups. I've seen it occur more and more and more. And that's literally around the globe, not just here in the United States or Canada, but a variety of different places. So I thought I'd take a moment and just share some of the exciting momentum that we're seeing. Starting first with government of Egypt. They modernized on AWS a project called Osmos, rebuilding 200 applications cloud native on top of AWS. UAE has been one of the leaders globally in embracing artificial intelligence, launching Falcon LLM. That's a foundational language models, 40 billion, not million, billion parameters on Amazon SageMaker. Japan, looking at how do you extend the cloud into space? No longer is it just big region infrastructures. We've got a variety of different ways now to address the needs of government on latency, data sovereignty, data privacy, and others, all the way down into the Snow family, where they have manned space systems using AWS Snowcone up in space to optimize data delivery back to Earth. Or the government of Kenya. They've moved 7,500 government services over to AWS. And this mission is continuing to accelerate. How do governments respond more rapidly to a changing populace? And it's a new way of looking at mission delivery, especially obviously within public sector. And AWS partners are critical for this, providing the local expertise, that engagement, knowing the different business models that governments may be looking at, tax issues, laws, et cetera. And we continue to invest across all of the different parts of the world so that this investment, as builders thinking long-term, as we do at AWS, can be leveraged to provide the myriad of solutions needed for a local municipality, to a provincial or state government, federal government, a small K-12 school that needs to protect about cybersecurity, to nonprofits looking to advance their mission no matter what their cause is. From that perspective, we see from a scaling the investment, we're continuing to invest not only in the infrastructure, but also in the programs to unleash the power, the potential of what's needed out there. A recent Accenture survey predicted that AWS could generate over $161 billion in 12 national economies, driving small businesses, driving small partners, driving large partners, helping different packaged solutions, telcos or others, universities that are looking to grow in so many different ways. And we continue to invest. Right now, we have over 102 availability zones spread across 32 geographies, 35 local zones, and we continue to invest literally billions of dollars through the local economies. That's not just in jobs. That's through a myriad of different ways that we expand out in programs and initiatives. I just had the opportunity to spend some time in Thailand and Malaysia, spent 2 weeks running through Asia. We're investing significant $6 billion in Thailand over the next number of years, $5 billion. That's not just for building the regions, which we've announced, but it's in programs to help governments look at new ways for procurement. Thailand 4.0, the government's initiative for driving faster change on behalf of all of its citizens. Or in Malaysia, where while I was there, they released over $100 million in new funding for different local businesses to advance in the ways that government can communicate more efficiently with citizens. You know, we invite all of you to seize on this momentum. We're continuing to invest around the globe in so many different ways. And what we're seeing is governments as well as our partners lean in to solve some really challenging problems that are out there. So I thought I'd pick a couple from recent travels that I've been learning about. And so from our partners here in the audience, please continue to send us your wins, your success stories, because we love sharing them up on aws.amazon.com and blog posts in a variety of different parts. Now, this is one that really interested me. For those that aren't aware, there's a small municipality, a multicultural town in the UK called Swindon, where there are officially over 100 languages which were being spoken. in this really small town. And so I started learning a little bit more. They were spending, before an amazing partner, CityTrax, got involved, over $87,000 a year in just doing the language translations. They were required to. It was the law. And so how do you serve a broader populace? And so together with CityTrack, they were able to look at translating the healthcare documents. They brought that down to $34 per year. An amazing cost savings on behalf of the citizens that the funds could be used towards other things. Now they're expanding that using Bedrock as well as some of our other technologies to look at how do they move that faster for a simply readable, it's an easy read solution for documents. Looking at new ways to take technology in Gen AI on top of the AWS and use the citizens' monies much more efficiently. Another one that I was really excited about was Brazil. In my journeys, I've been able to spend a lot of time in Brazil. Rather passionate about saving the planet, and in particular, the Brazilian rainforests. There's a very progressive state in Brazil, the state of Paraná, that they launched a program called Silo Verde 2.0. And it's a platform that pulls a variety of different federal databases, different GIS mappings and others, open source data, leveraging AWS, machine learning, open data sources and others to fight deforestation. As a part of this, they're tracking over 300,000 rural properties that are right now protecting 8.4 million acres of forest lands. Now they're looking at how they scale it through other states throughout Brazil. Think what we could do with this solution on a global, when we think about that mission delivery aspect. But it's not just a town in the UK or in Brazil. What about the South Pacific? And we start thinking about Papua New Guinea. This is another inspiring small partner that I met at the Canberra Public Sector Summit. Now, Papua New Guinea, they've struggled with a manual record of land titles, land management, who owns what across. And so NewPay figured out how leveraging our Snow family of products to be able to digitize land titles across. This improved not only the official registration of who owns what piece of land and the transfer of that, but practically from the government, this was able to increase tax compliance by over 600%. Now they're looking at how does that solution, which has enabled data to be connected and disconnected from cloud, serve the rest of the islands throughout South Pacific. Another partner that wants to go global in minutes through so many different wonderful solutions. And we're seeing these trends continue to accelerate. And as you can imagine, whether it's in the United Kingdom or Brazil, Papua New Guinea, more and more we're seeing partners take their solutions and expand global. Gartner's recent report talked about the rise of digital marketplaces. 80% of B2B sales interactions between suppliers and buyers will occur via digital channels by 2025. In some nations, that's already being there. And one of the parts we're seeing grow even more rapidly has been the use of AWS Marketplace. And from that perspective, Forrester recently rated it as the top-ranked SaaS marketplace for strategy and marketplace presence. We see more and more of our partners leveraging this, offsetting their operational costs, expanding their business, their networking capabilities with systems integrators, the matching that comes in private offerings that occur. And these are just a couple of the statistics I thought, because it shows an amazing scaling vehicle that's available to our community to reach not only enterprises, small business, but definitely within public sector. It's available right now in 30 regions, over 300,000 active customers in Marketplace. But then I was thinking about it from the partner lens, 27% higher win rate, 50% faster deal closer, 4 to 5 times larger deal sizes that are occurring. And it's an opportunity to transcend borders. We have partners in Israel expanding into the US, partners in the US or Canada expanding into Australia, leveraging the AWS platform to have more and more solutions come on out. 400 marketplace offers and growing very rapidly. From that perspective, we said, well, let's listen to our partners. And so one partner I've had the privilege of spending some time with is Genesys. They added their first listing on AWS Marketplace. They had practically no business. 3 years later, they're growing their business in double digits, expanding their solution offering in more areas. And what it's helped them is lower the back office costs of structure, as well as helping key stakeholders both inside and outside the company continue to grow and scale their business even further. From this perspective, we're continuing to invest in the long term with AWS Marketplace. It's an area of investment. Ruba will talk more during her partner keynote on Wednesday. I'm not going to take too much away from what she'll share, but one part that I'm excited to share is that we launched the AWS Marketplace List and Sell. It's now an opportunity where qualified partners can expand out their SaaS solutions across. It provides an easier way to create the listings. We've listened very intently the last couple of years to streamline the way that you get new product listings up there or offerings. And we've seen that especially with partners changing from a reseller model over to a managed service solution set, have how they can leverage such a strong platform. We also have heard from many of you of how do we grow into the public sector side. There's compliance, there's regulation, but we've also heard from our customers. Because as you know, at AWS, we start with the customers and work our way backwards. One giant cost for many local municipalities, state and provincial in particular, of course federal, is the RFP process, where they need to work through a very labor-intensive process. It costs a lot of citizens money to be able to comply with different laws. Domestically here in the States, we've worked very closely with Omnia, which is an organization that helps match between what governments and local municipalities need from a compliance perspective and launching RFPs in a more cost-effective way with the partner community. And from that, it provides an easier way with minimal effort on both while still being legal and meeting all the respective compliance issues. For our partner community, there's no cost to you. We actually, AWS, picks up that fee. But we've seen more and more here domestically now, new ways to grow your business in over 8,600 different contract vehicles that are out there. Another area that we've been hearing as we've grown the marketplace engine and new ways for solutions to be bought by public sector customers. Okay, that's all right, but we're still concerned about cybersecurity. And so it's great that Marketplace is an official recognized contract vehicle for many municipalities, but that means I got a lot more solutions that are out there. How are we going to continue to protect and defend and be proactive as it applies to making sure that government is safe, especially with the data that's there? It's really scary how much data is being loaded on it and being generated. A recent IDC survey showed that there's by 2025, that's only 2 years from now, there will be 163 zettabytes. That's how many of those zeros that are. I had to go look that one up, to be honest. But from that perspective, that's a lot of data. You say, okay, well, kind of where are we at now? And a colleague looked up, if you were to take all of the data, not just in AWS, but out there in other cloud providers, et cetera, we only got a couple of zettabytes. So in 24 months, this growth, so how do you protect it? How do you get proactive across that? How do you scale along that way? And from that perspective, we are working every single day, and we knew it when we started our public sector business and AWS, that security was something we could never let up for. And that perspective right now, we continue to enhance new security services, methodologies, ways to go ahead and protect while still having the agility that cloud enables you to do. 300 plus services, 143 different standards and compliances that we meet today as a part of that. The most trusted government organizations around the globe trust AWS to hold the data that they're loading on up, making the migrations from on-premise into the cloud in a variety of different ways, so that then they could use it. Because as you get towards some of the Gen AI promise that's out there and aspirations that government wants, if you don't get your data in there, it's hard for a lot of that innovation to occur as a part of the mission. And that opens up for the channel a tremendous opportunity, over $2 trillion marketing opportunity for partners that are providing the services. That may be from a systems integrator perspective, from a deployment perspective. That may be writing new solutions that manage an entire infrastructure, a K-12, a local municipality, a state, federal government, and others. Huge opportunity. With that, we are continuing to share as we get engaged with governments in meet compliance, offset the cost for the channel. That's why we went ahead and started the Global Security and Compliance Acceleration Program. It was officially prior known as ATO on AWS, Authority to Operate, because we started here in the US. And it was designed to help partners that wanted to do business in public sector, but didn't know how to get the necessary accreditations, compliance reports to do business within public sector and in particular government. This year, over 251 partners have leveraged this program, which is no cost, to be able to help get their solution sets, their managed services now available so governments can buy them, can go ahead and procure them along the way. And we're continuing to expand this. What started in the US is now we've gone global. That's why we've got the global name in there. So if you're doing business in Canada for Protected B under Canadian federal government, IRAP in Australia, the United Kingdom, as well as, of course, here in the US with FedRAMP, FISMA, HIPAA, and others, we're continuing to expand this. We've heard from many of our partners and customers, take the knowledge and the insight that you walk through to make sure that your services have the controls and the authorizations. Share that with us to help not only offset the cost, but to help us open up new doors to go to market. That's why we've pulled together a new set of bundles. This new set of bundles is really exciting because it specifically looks at AWS Marketplace. It's how you can go ahead and find it. These bundles pull together the processes and cover the entirety of the compliance framework. As I talk about Canada and Protected B, you may say, I've got no idea what you're talking about, Jeff. You know, from that, we've documented what it is. If you want to do business with the federal government, what does that mean? If you're getting involved with healthcare information or other parts, here's the steps to go and learn. And a part of this, again, is sharing proactively with our partner community to better serve the needs of our mutual customers who want to run faster. They want to learn. Now, our customers continue to drive the innovation in so many wonderful ways. And that's our starting place here at AWS. We start with the customers and work our way backwards. And from that, I'd love to invite two amazing customers from the state of Arizona, Bianca Lochner, Chief Information Officer for the City of Scottsdale, as well as Ryan Murray, Chief Security Officer, State of Arizona. Thank you. So I was chatting earlier, Ryan, this is your first reInvent.
This is my first reInvent, yeah.
What do you think so far?
It's pretty overwhelming. But, it's amazing to see so many people out here, especially those coming to talk public sector. So it's awesome to see you guys supporting what we're trying to do across local governments and our state governments and our federal government. So thank you for being here.
Awesome.
Now, Bianca, you've come once or twice?
This is my second time.
Second time. Any observations on this second round?
It's the same energy. I feel like there's so much brilliancy in this building, right? I feel like the answer is in the room, any room that has a session during this conference. So very exciting to be back.
Got to get to every room.
Every
as
room,
best
yes.
you can.
I wish.
Good luck.
So Ryan, I'm going to start first with you.
Sure.
You started an amazing cybersecurity initiative across the state, but also including K to 12. How did
Correct.
you get this started for the state, and what were some of those challenges?
Yeah, so frankly, it's something that we've been doing for several years now, and it's really just blown up and turned up to 11 over the past couple of years with some additional funding and some additional support at the executive level, which, as I'm sure most of you will understand, nothing happens unless the executives support it. But I'll say that one of the things that we've really strived to do is what we've called our whole of state cybersecurity strategy, and truly leaning into exactly what that means, trying to cover the entire state with cybersecurity protections and capabilities and services. And working directly with partners like Bianca at several of our cities and counties, working with our K-12 school districts, our tribal and Native American partners, and just essentially everyone, government everywhere. And then also starting to talk to some of our private industry partners as well to figure out how we can truly take this as whole of state, knowing that small to medium businesses are struggling just as much as our local governments are.
Now, Bianca, the city of Scottsdale keeps growing in so many different ways. How have you addressed cybersecurity just within the city itself and the partnership with the state?
Yes, so the key is partnerships. So first I want to share a little bit about Scottsdale. So we're a city of 250,000 residents, but also we welcome more than 11 million visitors every year because we are a beautiful, welcoming, inclusive city. We are located in the Sonoran Desert in the state, so really beautiful weather. We also have the fifth largest business airport in the state. We are hosting fantastic events. Our super season is in the spring, as you can imagine. Every February we host the Waste Management Open, which is the premier golf in the US. And this year we actually broke record for the highest attended sporting events in North America. So you can imagine with that we physically have to secure those kind of events, but also we have to make sure that our visitors have an excellent experience, right? And we have to leverage innovation technology to provide those experiences, but also keeping everyone safe. And now with IoTs and proliferation of that type of infrastructure, the physical space, right, converge with the cyberspace in terms of attack surface risk and having to really protect that. So for us is really ensuring that internally we partner with our business units. We provide more than 500 services over 30 lines of businesses. So making sure that they understand their role in terms of protecting, right, and how we can empower them with access to, again, visibility into assets, access to tools and capabilities that can really help them leverage with us in terms of enterprise team, but also leveraging the state capabilities, right? Again, we're one state, one team, and the innovations that happen in the marketplace, all the vendors here in the room and outside, and of course, AWS as a key partner.
Now you mentioned partners, and I will agree, you have a beautiful city, especially for all of us in Seattle. During that February time, Alaska's got great nonstops that go right down to come visit. I will agree with you on that. But you mentioned partnerships, and both of you have partnered with amazing AWS partners like CrowdStrike and others. What are some of the elements that you think about when you're engaging an AWS partner? What are some of the challenges and benefits? How do you think about that engagement?
Who do you want to go first?
I'll let you, Bianca, if you want to start.
Ladies first.
Yes, of course. So definitely capabilities, right? We want to partner with the best. Our mission is to provide a simply better service for a world-class community. So with that comes, right, the opportunity to, again, continue to innovate, but making sure that we understand what's happening, right, in the marketplace. And then we don't have finite resources, so we have to really always be proactive in terms of how do we leverage those partnerships in terms of maybe building a SOC or really using some of their resources or using some of their own partnerships to expand and scale out. So.
Yeah, and I'll just echo exactly that, right? There's no way that anyone in local government or state government can do this on our own. We have to rely on partners, whether those that are providing the technology, like you mentioned CrowdStrike, which is something we're deploying across the entire state, or other service providers. And I'll just say, can I get a show of hands? How many managed security service providers are there in the room, or MSPs? Anyone providing services to customers? Got a handful there. So if you think about the state of Arizona, where we had, say, a dozen customers where we're supporting our state agencies, and then you turn that up to over 350 customers in less than the course of a year, and also you don't have any additional funding, and also you don't have any additional personnel, you can imagine the nightmare scenario that we're in now if we were to try to do this alone. So we're trying to rely very heavily on our partners, both AWS specifically, as well as the partners to AWS, in the solutions that we're providing and the services that we're providing, and just trying to get our heads around everything that we're trying to provide to the entire state. Because you talk about scaling out services at the scope of a state, it's something that I think people have a hard time wrapping their head around. You think of these large multinational global corporations, you think of 50 or 100,000 users, and we're talking 7 million people in the state of Arizona, dispersed across 15 counties, 200 plus school districts, 91 cities and towns, 22 tribal nations, and that's a large land area as well as a large population to try to support. And as we start talking about digital equity and broadband for everyone, we're putting millions of more citizens on the internet, and no one's really trained them to be there and understand how terrible the internet can be. It's a really daunting undertaking for us to try to understand how do we protect not only the technology that we're building out everywhere and scaling it out in a way that makes sense, but also the people. Because that's a real challenge that not a lot of organizations are thinking about, is how do we protect the people that we're putting out there?
Yeah, and then another thing with that, I think also making sure that it's sustainable, right? How do you sustain it? From a partner perspective of the state, we always look at, right, what's going to happen in 3 years from now? Are those grants going to be available? So that's something that is also top of the mind. And then for Ryan, he has to show value for this program, right? So the same internally for any organizations, but especially for public organizations, you have to, when you go ask for funding or additional resources, you really have to tell the story, but you have to continue to tell the story and really showcase that return on investment, right? So having those partnerships and really being able to show how those integrations within platforms, or being able to automate, or being able to really dashboard some areas to show that you're closing gaps, it's really, really critical for us. So from partner perspective, when we look at partnerships, we also look at that, how can we continue to tell the story together?
Yeah, and I'd say the big thing there is when I've gone out there, and something that's sort of unprecedented that we're doing is procuring and supporting these solutions at the scale of an entire state, and then providing them at no cost to our customers, which is sort of unheard of. However, when you go out there and tell people you're here from the government and I'm going to provide you free services, the first question is, one, is it really free? And two, for how long is it going to be free? Because working with cities like Bianca and City of Scottsdale, they have resources, right? We're all strapped for cash, we're all strapped for personnel, but they're better off than most. So when I go out and say, I want to give you free stuff, but you're going to maybe have to give up a little bit of the freedom and autonomy of the services that you're providing to your organizations, to your departments, they have the chance to be able to say no. And we want to make sure that everyone understands that this is a community that we're trying to build. My role and my mission is to secure the state, regardless of whether people are taking advantage of our services or not. We're trying to build this collective defense mentality, this community around protecting each other. And it's something that we really can't do if I'm just going out there or sitting in the Capitol and screeching out of my ivory tower telling people you have to do these things or take my services.
And that's a true partnership, and I want to share. So in the case of CrowdStrike, we chose to secure our own instance within the Falcon Complete, so because we wanted to build that SOC, because we wanted to make sure that we have integration and those automations are specific to us, but we leverage other through the grants opportunity because, again, we want to be strategic, right?
Now, both of you have, I've been impressed. Arizona continues to lead in so many different ways. One is on contracting in AWS Marketplace.
Yeah.
Can you share just a little bit about your engagement with Marketplace and how you see that playing out at the state and also at the city level to help government continue to act like a startup?
Yeah, I'll go first on this one because we're purchasing the majority of the products that we're providing out for our local governments through the marketplace, and it's been a fantastic benefit for us, being able to have everything all in one place, being able to take advantage of the economies of scale, utilize the contract vehicles that exist. We're talking about multi-million-dollar deals across multiple years and not having to go out to RFP to do all of those things. You're right, it's a complete nightmare to have to do that at the scale we're talking. So being able to utilize those contract mechanisms, being able to take advantage of some of the deals and offers that exist through the marketplace with the partners that exist there, as well as utilizing AWS as a true partner to help build these things out, right? Because we're purchasing through the marketplace, AWS has helped us to gather metrics, to build these solutions, to support them once they've been deployed, which is something we wouldn't have been able to do had we just gone through a traditional procurement vehicle.
And for the global attendees, for perspective, an RFP in the public sector in the US could take up to 2 years, right? First, you have to get the requirements, get everyone's input, so that could take up to a year, then put it on the, so to speak, on the street and having responses, making sure that then you have the negotiations, months of negotiations with prospective vendors. So it really can really cripple you, and those traditional approaches to procurement have not been modernized within the government yet. So we want to be more agile, we want to be more adaptive, and this is where AWS comes into place. One example, our the police department, public safety business unit, they decided to go with an AWS partner because of the opportunity to just streamline that process and expedite the procurement of something that was really, really critical to the organization. For us, the same, we're leveraging Carahsoft and Omnia to become more agile, to really, right, we assess the market, we know what solution we need, so we can now acquire it and implement it as soon as possible. So that makes a difference. And then also AWS, the credits aspect. So for us, again, looking how to can we increase the benefits of those partnerships. With those credits, we can get additional training for our teams in terms of upskilling, reskilling, which is another need for any organization that's moving to the cloud. And then using those credits somewhere else in terms of maybe implement AI solutions. So we're looking at cloud-based call centers, and that's something that we are going to apply those type of credits to enhance and expedite that implementation. So, very exciting.
Now that innovation doesn't stop. I mean, it's just an amazing wheel that's continuing. When you think about Gen AI, when you think about your cybersecurity journey that you're on, maybe Bianca starting first, what's next? What are you looking forward to the most on behalf of the city, and then around, of course, the state?
Definitely closing the security gaps as fast as possible, right? And with that means really having standing sessions with our partners, right? Looking at what's on their roadmap and how fast can we really take advantage of their innovations.
Yeah, I'll just echo the same thing, right? We're all facing workforce shortages. We're all facing this infinite hole of cyber talent shortage that exists everywhere. And public sector probably feels this more acutely than anyone else because we can't compete on wages and the benefits just aren't as good as they used to be. So we're having to look for creative options to be able to take advantage of the resources we have. And I mentioned the first two questions that people always ask when I come talk to them about my free services is, are they really free and how long are they free? The third question invariably is, thank you for these free services, but I don't have people to manage the stuff I'm already doing, let alone all this stuff you want to put on my plate. So we're having to look at how do we take advantage of AI and machine learning? How do we utilize the partners that exist? How do we build off the community that we're building around these technologies to help each other out when we can? Because there's no other way that we're going to be able to do this outside of that. And we have to continue to innovate and get better and find creative solutions, not just on the technology side, but also on the people and the resources and personnel side.
So as we bring to a close, we got a number of partners here that I'm sure would be loving to do business with the state or with the city. Right, maybe starting first to you. Any closing words of wisdom for the partners wanting to continue to bring their solution in cybersecurity or others in? And then Bianca, your thoughts.
Yeah, again, comes back to that strategy, business strategy, right? What we're trying to achieve and the problems we're trying to solve. And we have lots of problems and we can engage. But I do appreciate those partners who come to us and really listen and understand, right, our constraints. We talk procurement, that's one of them, but and really try to problem solve together, maybe working backwards to really identifying the best solution for my organizations, because it might be different than for someone else.
Yeah, I would say just know your audience. Come to me with a solution to a problem that you know I have. Don't bring me your product and try to see if it fits in somewhere. Most of us publish our IT and cybersecurity strategies. It's all public knowledge and public record. A lot of us are talking openly about the partners that we're already working with. And just know what we're looking to work and solve and the gaps that we're trying to close. And I guess better understand and have patience that despite the fact that we are trying to innovate, we are trying to be more startup and more agile, government is still very slow in respect to procurements and going through the process to actually deploy things and get them configured and get them up and running, especially when you're talking about small cities, small K-12, small local organizations that literally have zero resources. So come with solutions and come with patience.
All, please join me in thanking both Wright and Bianca for their time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You've heard a little bit about the impact that collectively we can all do together. And from that perspective, working in public sector, I went back and did a little bit of digging into history to find and see what's the innovation that continues to scale the impact, where we see government lead in so many wonderful ways. And so I went back and I looked at the telephone. It's been a while since many of us used it on our smartphone, I'm sure. But from that perspective, when Alexander Graham Bell in 1876 developed the phone, it was 3 years later, 49,000 telephones were in use. And predominantly, it was public sector that was using this. It was the U.S. Army Signal Corps. They were using Department of State, government agencies, but also doctors and medical practices that were quick to go ahead and adopt that. And it was to help adopt a new way of mission-driven. It was an opportunity to look at innovative ways by which public sector could embrace groundbreaking disruption. And I feel in so many different ways we're going through this yet again. When innovative, disruptive new services come to market, it touches on mission delivery. And generative AI is absolutely in that space. A recent survey by Goldman Sachs showed that it could drive another $7 trillion to increase global GDP. And from that perspective, turning back to our customers once again and hearing what they're saying, these are a couple of just amazing quotes that they were sharing. And I think that it helps us stay on that narrow way of providing the solutions that are needed to help expand. And from that perspective, why AWS? And looking at generative AI, and based on that customer feedback, looking at hundreds of thousands of customers that are out there that are routinely using AWS, millions in enterprise governments around the globe, bringing the different solutions that are there. And from that perspective, it provides a tremendous opportunity to grow and to continue to expand on out. From that perspective, it opens up tremendous opportunities with Bedrock. And from that perspective, we're continuing to innovate incredibly rapidly in so many different areas. What I'd love to do is to introduce an amazing individual, Rebecca Weatherly, to come on up and to share how we're taking these thoughts and insights in innovative technology to bring to bear with these disruptive technologies that are out there. Please join me in introducing Rebecca Weatherly.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'm going to get to my part. Okay. So, from paper scrolls to generative AI. When you think of Nebraska, what images come to mind? Is it the birthplace of the Reuben sandwich? Is it a vast prairie? Or is it the home of Kool-Aid? Or perhaps Nebraska is a blank canvas for you. Today, I'm going to tell you a story, and that story is about problem solving and partnership. This story is also about innovation, and after today's presentation, I hope that you walk away thinking about Nebraska as paving the path of innovation in the pursuit of justice. The state of Nebraska distributes judicial power of the state amongst the Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, district courts, and county courts. They handle a staggering 285,000 cases yearly, covering diverse areas. These cases generate piles of documents, including images, videos, audios, and also physical evidence. From civil and family law cases to violations and criminal cases, the Nebraska Judicial Branch handles tens of thousands of written records and documents each and every month. Now, these exhibits have to be marked, numbered, stored, and tracked to ensure their integrity throughout the legal proceedings, so it's really important to automate this manual process. And this is not just a Nebraska problem. It's estimated that there are more than 40 million lawsuits filed every year in just the United States. Considering that most disputes that govern our daily lives happen in the state courts, there's a clear need for automation. To automate this, our customer had to decide whether to build a new system or to buy a commercial off-the-shelf product. After evaluation, none of the COTS products they reviewed met their requirements to be secure, efficient, and scalable. So they evaluated a cloud solution. However, they had concerns. You heard it from our colleagues in Arizona. Their staff had limited experience working with cloud solutions. They had a mission to ensure that justice is administered fairly. That's the important work they do for the people of the state of Nebraska. So when you're delivering on a mission for hundreds of thousands of citizens, every day counts. They needed to get their work done quickly. However, they're a very small team. So the customer began working with our AWS partner, Scale Capacity. And they have told us that working with Scale Capacity has been a game changer for them. Scale Capacity helped the Nebraska Judicial Branch innovate and get to the next level quickly. Together with AWS and Scale Capacity, the customer gathered requirements for electronics exhibit systems for the Supreme Court justices. They gathered those requirements from county and district court judges, from court reporters and court administrators. Next, AWS and Scale Capacity developed workflow and architecture diagrams for the Document Repository and Workflow System, also known as DRAW. DRAW is a secure content management system that includes the documents, audio, video, and images that we spoke of earlier. It was developed using our Elastic Container Service, using our Lambda serverless computing offering, Amazon API Gateway, and Amazon Cognito, amongst other things. So what does DRAW do? DRAW manages the entire exhibit workflows. Attorneys can upload exhibits for a case and present them to court reporters who provide then an exhibit number. They can then share that exhibit number with witnesses, with the jury, and even the media. DRAW also manages the life cycle and retention policies for these exhibits. Stakeholders can easily validate all of the business requirements by having a full audit trail of exhibits to use for processing and retention throughout the system. Some of you may have seen attorneys sifting through stacks of documents on TV dramas like Suits or The Practice. Like these TV dramas, attorneys would have to review all of their case exhibits, that's documents, videos, audios, to determine questions to court-related questions. That could take hours or even days. The customer worked with Scale Capacity to utilize Amazon Bedrock. They built semantic search capabilities using generative AI and allowed users to quickly search through content across several documents, videos, and audios. Now attorneys can ask just the questions and the application will provide answers within seconds, allowing attorneys to focus their time on more complex human-centered tasks. For the Nebraska Judicial Branch, it was important to address security and accuracy concerns they had with GenAI. With Amazon Bedrock, data will remain private and confidential because it is always encrypted, and that data never leaves the customer's VPC. To address accuracy concerns, Scale Capacity classified data into 3 different categories: public, internal, and confidential. Now, I want to show you a demo of how this works. You're going to see this is very simple. It's a streamlined interface. There's no need for technical knowledge to use the interface. And you're going to see where data remains secure and users can get accurate data. You ready? Here's the interface. You can choose how broad or specific the search should be. You can easily clear the chat history and reset. And you can either type or speak the questions or talk to the customer agent directly. You can upload documents and any kind of media files you have in the content management system. Now, there are public, internal, and confidential folders. If you're logged in as a public persona, then you only have access to the data and the files in that public folder. And if you're an internal employee, then you can see whatever internal will allow you to see. If you're an admin, you can drop in a large language model, anyone that you want, and apply it to the system right away. We uploaded 8 case exhibits in the public folder for this demo. I'm going to ask a legal question here, and it's a question about a general waiver of tort immunity. And you're going to see within seconds, we're going to start to generate an answer, pulling data from the content management system. It's going to also show the sources of that data. Now, if you click on the source, you're also going to see that document and an excerpt from that document. The answer put together data from all the documents and creates a summary. Now, we're going to go back, and we're going to clear that chat history, and we're going to ask a second question. And this is going to be asking about waiving sovereign immunity. Again, within seconds, you're going to see we're creating an answer for you. Different cases interpreted this issue differently. So it's listing each one of the scenarios to show how the case interpreted sovereign immunity. So you see how easy it is, how the data never leaves the customer's environments. There is no hallucinating here. This is all happening in a pre-vetted content within the customer's area. It also is integrating with Amazon Connect and can be deployed within a day. Pretty cool. So, there are a couple things that Nebraska Judicial Branch has as takeaways here. One, enlist the help of a trusted partner. They had a small team. They needed to go fast. They augmented that expertise with Scale Capacity. 2, leverage AWS solutions, maximize credit programs that we have in order to expedite your journey. 3, Plan for training to coincide with your journey. Help your people along the way as you develop your modernization journey. I think the cool thing about this is this customer wants to leverage Gen AI further, and they're planning on integrating the system with 60 additional court systems across the state of Nebraska. With a new way of delivering their mission, the state of Nebraska is truly on a state of innovation. The Scale Capacity team is here, along with our solutions architect, Amrita, and they are here to answer questions after this presentation. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rebecca. I was sharing the state of Washington looks forward to having the team come and visit. Now, as you saw, our customers are driving such momentum, and they're demanding innovation. They're demanding innovation from all of this. To meet this expectation around the globe, we're going to continue to scale our investments, scale the cybersecurity. That continues, as well as to scale the impact together with our AWS partners. We're convinced we have an opportunity to redefine what mission delivery can be together with our customers. But key within this is the vibrant partner community providing the myriad of different solutions that government, education, nonprofit, aerospace, and other public sector customers need. Please continue to engage your partner account managers as well as sales leaders to develop your scaling plans, partner community, as we go forward into this next year. The momentum, the expectation, and the opportunity to have us all redefine mission delivery continues to expand up. And it requires new talent. It requires new skill sets. It means that we need to jointly invest in upskilling that talent as well as to reskilling those talents. All of this is with partners. So as we bring to a close, a couple of final thoughts. One is to continue to leverage re:Invent, a great opportunity to practice, learn, and be curious, to hear best practices, such as we heard from Arizona, as well as from Rebecca and the team, of different solutions that are practically helping solve some of the challenging issues that all of us are facing around the world. Second is to attend the session, the keynotes. This evening, again, as a reminder, Peter DeSantis kicks off with the infrastructure, as well as then for a partner community, Ruba Borneo's on Wednesday. And then following today's session at 4:30 here in the Venetian, Vice President of our worldwide public sector, Dave Levy, is talking about reimagining the possibility in public sector altogether. Let's continue this momentum and continue to scale our impact. Please continue to stay in touch, and thank you so much for your time today.